Welcome back, everyone. Today we're jumping back into Speed Keyboard Escape, but this time we're taking on a brand new adventure. Last time we managed to survive some crazy keyboard obstacles, but this course looks even more difficult. There are new platforms, faster movement, and even more dangerous jumps waiting for us. Right from the start, we can already tell this run is going to be different. The keyboard stretches far into the distance, and every section seems designed to test our reaction speed. We begin moving carefully, taking our first few jumps while getting used to the layout of the course. The opening area isn't too difficult, but it's the perfect place to build momentum. Every step increases our speed, and before long we start noticing that the character is moving much faster than before. At first that's exciting, but we all know that extra speed also makes every jump much harder. The next section introduces longer gaps between the keyboard keys. Timing is everything here. Jump too early and we'll fall short. Jump too late and we'll completely miss the landing. We slow down for a moment, line up the jump, and make it safely across. So far everything is going well, but the course isn't giving us much time to relax. Another obstacle appears immediately after the landing. We keep moving forward without stopping because losing momentum could make the next section even harder. Now we're starting to see why this game is so addictive. Every successful jump makes us want to keep going, but every increase in speed raises the difficulty even more. The faster we become, the more carefully we have to control every movement. Ahead of us is a series of narrow keyboard keys with almost no room for mistakes. We move across them one by one, trying not to overcorrect our direction. One tiny movement to the side could send us straight into the void. Our speed continues climbing, and suddenly the entire course feels different. Keys that seemed far apart a minute ago now appear almost instantly. We have to look much farther ahead instead of focusing only on the platform directly in front of us. The next jump is one of the biggest so far. We take a deep breath, build up enough speed, and launch forward. For a second it looks like we're not going to make it, but we barely land on the edge and continue running. That was incredibly close. We finally reach another checkpoint, which is great news because now we don't have to repeat the beginning if something goes wrong. That's a huge relief because the obstacles ahead already look much more difficult. This is only the beginning of the adventure, and the course is already testing our reactions. Our speed keeps increasing, the jumps are becoming more dangerous, and it feels like the hardest sections are still waiting for us. Let's keep moving and see just how far we can make it in this new Speed Keyboard Escape challenge. We're getting deeper into the keyboard escape, and things are becoming much more intense. Our speed has increased a lot since the beginning of the run, which means every obstacle is now coming toward us much faster. We don't have time to stop and think anymore. Every movement has to be smooth, and every jump has to be perfectly timed. The next section begins with a series of narrow keyboard keys hanging above a huge drop. At first they don't look too dangerous, but as soon as we start running, we realize just how little room there is for mistakes. One wrong step could end the entire run, so we slow down just enough to stay in control while keeping enough momentum for the longer jumps. Ahead of us is another challenging area filled with wider gaps. These jumps require confidence because hesitating in the middle of the run usually makes things even harder. We line up the first jump, push forward, and land safely. Without wasting any time, we continue straight into the next obstacle before losing our rhythm. The speed keeps increasing with every second, and now the keyboard course feels completely different from when we started. Platforms appear almost instantly, forcing us to look farther ahead instead of watching only the next jump. Planning our route becomes just as important as reacting quickly. The next challenge introduces several sharp turns. At this speed, turning too much can easily throw us off the platform, so we make small adjustments while keeping the character moving forward. It takes a few close calls, but we finally make it through without falling. Just when we think we're getting comfortable, another difficult section appears. This time the keyboard keys are much smaller, leaving almost no room to land. Every jump has to be accurate because there isn't enough space to recover after a bad landing. We stay calm, keep the timing consistent, and slowly work our way across. After a long sequence of successful jumps, we finally spot another checkpoint. Reaching it would save a huge amount of progress, so we stay focused and avoid taking unnecessary risks. One final jump, and we make it. That's a massive relief because now we won't have to repeat everything if something goes wrong later. The course isn't finished, though. Right after the checkpoint, the difficulty increases once again. New obstacles appear, the gaps become longer, and the keyboard layout becomes much more confusing. Every few seconds we have to change direction while maintaining enough speed to clear the next jump. Even with all these challenges, we're starting to feel much more confident. Our reactions are improving, our movement is smoother, and we're learning how to use our speed instead of fighting against it. That's exactly what this game is all about. The finish is still a long way ahead, but we're making steady progress. Every obstacle we clear brings us one step closer, and the next stages promise even bigger jumps, faster movement, and more dangerous keyboard sections. Let's keep going and see if we can survive whatever this escape throws at us next. Now the keyboard escape is becoming absolutely insane. Our speed is much higher than it was only a few minutes ago, and every section feels completely different. The platforms seem to fly toward us, leaving almost no time to react. We have to trust our instincts and keep moving if we want to reach the finish. The next obstacle starts with a narrow bridge made from keyboard keys. At first it looks simple, but the moment we step onto it, we realize how dangerous it really is. There isn't enough room for big movements, so we carefully adjust our direction while keeping enough speed to continue forward. A few jumps later, we arrive at another difficult section filled with long gaps. Every jump needs the perfect amount of momentum. Too slow and we won't reach the platform. Too fast and we could overshoot the landing completely. We take a deep breath, build our speed, and make the leap. The landing is clean, giving us enough confidence to keep pushing ahead. The game wastes no time introducing another challenge. This time the keyboard keys are placed at different angles, forcing us to change direction almost immediately after landing. These quick adjustments are becoming harder because our character is moving faster with every second. One platform almost catches us by surprise. We land slightly off-center and begin sliding toward the edge. For a split second it looks like the run is over, but we recover just in time and continue moving. Moments like these keep the entire challenge exciting because every jump really matters. We finally reach another checkpoint, and that feels like a huge reward after everything we've just survived. Saving our progress means we can take a few more risks in the upcoming sections without losing the entire run. The next stage immediately proves why this game is becoming so popular. The obstacles are creative, the speed constantly changes, and every new area introduces something different. Instead of repeating the same jumps over and over, the course keeps finding new ways to test our reactions. Now we're facing one of the fastest parts of the escape so far. The platforms are close together, but we have almost no time between jumps. We move across them one after another, trying to keep the rhythm instead of rushing. Surprisingly, staying calm works much better than trying to go as fast as possible. Our speed continues climbing, and we're beginning to feel completely locked into the course. The movement feels smoother, our timing is improving, and we're clearing obstacles that would have stopped us earlier. That progress is incredibly satisfying. Looking ahead, the final sections still seem far away, but we're definitely getting closer. Every checkpoint, every successful jump, and every dangerous landing is bringing us one step nearer to the end of this crazy keyboard adventure. The challenge is far from over, though. The hardest obstacles are still waiting, and if the difficulty keeps increasing like this, the next part could easily become the toughest section of the entire escape. We're getting incredibly close to the final stages, but the keyboard escape isn't making things any easier. Our speed is now at a level where every jump has to be perfectly timed. There is almost no room for hesitation, and every obstacle demands our full attention. One mistake could send us all the way back to the last checkpoint. The next section begins with several floating keyboard keys placed far apart. We need enough momentum to clear every gap, but we also have to land accurately. The first jump goes perfectly, and we immediately prepare for the second one. Every successful landing gives us more confidence, but we know the hardest part is still ahead. Now the course changes once again. Instead of long jumps, we're facing a series of quick turns followed by narrow platforms. These sections are surprisingly difficult because we have almost no time to adjust our direction after landing. We keep our movements smooth and avoid making sharp corrections. Our speed keeps increasing, making the keyboard feel like it's moving underneath us. Platforms that looked easy at the beginning of the game are now much harder simply because everything happens so fast. We have to trust our reactions and keep looking ahead instead of focusing only on the next jump. A huge gap appears in front of us. This is easily one of the biggest jumps we've seen during this run. We take a few extra steps to build momentum, line up the character, and launch forward. For a second it feels like we're not going to make it, but we barely land on the edge of the next key. That was way too close. Without stopping, we continue into another difficult section. This one mixes small platforms with long jumps, forcing us to constantly change our timing. Every obstacle feels different, so memorizing the course isn't enough anymore. We have to react in real time. The next checkpoint is finally within reach. We stay calm, avoid taking unnecessary risks, and carefully clear the last few platforms. After one final jump, we activate the checkpoint. That feels amazing because we've made it through one of the toughest parts of the keyboard escape. But the adventure isn't over yet. Looking ahead, the remaining stages seem even more dangerous. The keyboard layout becomes more complicated, and there are even more gaps waiting for us. The game clearly wants to push our reaction speed to the limit before letting us reach the finish. Even with all these challenges, we're improving with every attempt. The movement feels much more natural now, and controlling high speed isn't nearly as difficult as it was at the beginning. That's exactly what makes this game so satisfying. Every obstacle teaches us something new. The finish is getting closer with every successful jump. We've survived long gaps, tiny platforms, dangerous turns, and some incredibly close moments. Now there's only one goal left: keep our focus, maintain our speed, and prepare for the final challenge waiting in the last part of this adventure. The keyboard escape keeps getting more intense with every new section. Our speed is now incredibly high, and there is almost no time to think before the next obstacle appears. Every jump has to be planned in advance because reacting too late almost always ends with a fall. At this point, the game is testing both our speed and our concentration. The next area starts with a long chain of floating keyboard keys. The gaps between them are much larger than before. We build up enough speed, line up the first jump, and make it safely across. Without stopping, we continue toward the next platform because slowing down here would only make things harder. Every successful landing gives us more confidence. Now the course changes again. The keyboard keys are arranged in unusual patterns, forcing us to change direction after almost every jump. We can't simply run in a straight line anymore. Every landing is followed by another quick adjustment before the next obstacle arrives. The faster we move, the more important these small corrections become. Our speed keeps increasing, making every section feel completely different from the beginning of the game. Earlier we had plenty of time to think about every movement. Now everything happens in seconds, and we have to trust our reactions. Looking only at the next platform isn't enough anymore. We have to watch several keys ahead if we want to survive. Ahead of us is one of the longest jumps we've seen so far. We keep moving, gain enough momentum, and launch toward the next platform. For a second it feels like we're not going to make it, but the character barely lands on the edge. That was incredibly close, but we're still moving. The next sequence is filled with tiny platforms connected by quick jumps. There isn't enough space to stop, so we have to keep moving while staying perfectly balanced. One mistake would send us back to the previous checkpoint, and after coming this far, that's the last thing we want. The keyboard course continues surprising us with new layouts. Just when we think we've figured everything out, another section appears with completely different obstacles. That's one of the reasons this game stays exciting. Every stage feels fresh and keeps testing our reactions in a different way. We're definitely improving now. Our movements are smoother, our timing is much better, and we're clearing sections that seemed impossible earlier. Every successful jump makes us more confident for the next challenge. Looking ahead, we can already see even more dangerous platforms waiting for us. The speed is still increasing, and it looks like the next area will be even harder. We'll need perfect timing if we want to keep this run alive. For now, we keep pushing forward one jump at a time. The keyboard escape isn't over yet, and the biggest challenges are still waiting ahead. Let's stay focused and see what the next section has prepared for us. The course just keeps getting faster, and every new obstacle feels more dangerous than the last one. At this point, we can't rely on luck anymore. Every jump has to be accurate, and every landing has to be controlled if we want to keep moving forward. Another difficult section appears with several narrow keyboard keys placed over a huge gap. We keep our momentum, line up the first jump, and land perfectly. The next platform comes almost immediately, so we don't stop. We keep the rhythm going, making one clean jump after another. The speed is now so high that the keyboard almost feels like it's moving beneath us. We have to look farther ahead and predict where we're going instead of reacting at the last second. That's the only way to survive these faster stages. A sharp turn appears without much warning. We quickly adjust our direction, avoid sliding off the edge, and continue toward another chain of floating keys. Every successful landing makes the next jump feel even more exciting. Now we're entering another tricky area where the platforms become much smaller. There isn't much room to recover after landing, so we stay calm and avoid unnecessary movements. One mistake here would cost us valuable progress. After clearing a few more jumps, we finally find a slightly easier section. It's a good chance to catch our rhythm again before the game throws another challenge at us. Even though the path is safer, we know it won't stay that way for long. Looking ahead, we can already see more difficult obstacles waiting for us. The keyboard escape still has plenty of surprises left, and the next stage looks even more challenging than this one. Let's keep moving and see if we can survive whatever comes next.